Sold with multiple offers. The market's hot. Sold in one day. Sold in 20 minutes. This is the type of marketing that most realtors put out there talking about their listings and how hot the market is. And it sucks. It's also not necessarily the full truth about what's happening in the market. You want to know why? I'll tell you. Hello, my friends. Katie Day with the MOVEMETOTX Team here in Houston, Texas. Today, I'm going to talk about what we are seeing in the market and why every home doesn't necessarily sell in minutes here in Houston. I'll talk numbers and data, and then I'll chat with you as to what to look out for if you're thinking about selling a home or possibly even buying here in Houston, Texas. Okay, so right now in Houston, we are sitting at 15,882 active single-family listings on the market. This is 24.9% lower than last year and 47.9% lower than 2019, which was considered to be a normal year in Houston real estate. So normally September-October timeframe, we have anywhere between 21 and 30,000 single-family listings on the market. And right now, as I said, we have 15,882. So based on just strictly inventory, this is a seller's market. Demand exceeds supply. There are many interested buyers, but the inventory or homes available for sale is low, right? So since there are fewer homes available, sellers are at an advantage. Homes sell faster and for more money. They often receive multiple offers. Here in Houston, we've been in a seller's market for all of 2021. But does every seller get more than list price with 47 offers in 22 minutes? No, and I'll tell you why. So first, what I want to talk about is some data to frame where we are in the Houston real estate market today. So as far as total inventory, with that 15,882 active single-family listings on the market right now, that's 1.8 months of inventory for single-family homes. So months of inventory gives us a relative amount of inventory. So if homes continue to sell at the pace that they've been selling, right, no more homes come on the market, when would we run out of homes? So if we break things down by price point, if we look at $250,000 or less, we're sitting at 1 month of inventory. This is actually slightly up from earlier this year when we were sitting at merely weeks of inventory on the market. Looking at $250 to $350, in that price point, we have slightly more inventory at 1.6 months, but it's still less than Houston as a whole. When we get into $350 to $450, we see 2.2 months of inventory, so slightly up, slightly more than Houston as a whole, but definitely still a seller's market. $400 to $550,000 is 2.6 months of inventory. $550 to $650 ticks up to 2.8, and then $650 to $750, we're at 3.2 months of inventory. Once we get to $750,000 and above, we're at 4.1 months of inventory. And finally, at $1.5 million and above, we're sitting at 6.1 months of inventory. So as you can see, there are relatively, more properties on a months of inventory basis, but keep in mind that's only 664 properties in the MLS over $1.5 million. So it's not like there's like thousands of properties sitting out there. It's just in that price point. Homes are going to sell at a slightly lower velocity than a $350,000 or $200,000 starter home, right? So again, pretty much all price points until we get up over 1.5 million are considered to be a seller's market. So next, what I want to discuss is days on market, how quickly properties are selling. In the month of August 2021, the median days on market was up from 7 days on market in May, June, and July to 8 days on market in August. So this is the lowest we've seen in 10 plus years. Seriously, I can only go back 10 years in the MLS for certain stats, and it's showing that this is a record for the past 10 years. So for most of 2020, last year, we hovered around 17 to 40 days on market. And this year we started out in January at 18 and then quickly dropped to 7 in May. So that means when a home was put on the market, it lasts a week to almost 3 weeks this year, until it goes under contract. All right, so we've established inventory is low. I've demonstrated that properties are selling quickly, but despite having low inventory, we're also seeing a ton of properties sell. Actually, the most we've seen in years. So far in 2021, we are seeing a record year of the amount or quantity of sales, and we are outpacing 2020, which was also a record year for sales here in Houston. So all of these things put us in a seller's market. So if you list your home, it will likely sell. There's no question to that. That's a fact, right? But here's what most agents aren't telling you. For the month of September in Houston, we saw 1,187 listings come back on market. This means they were put on the market, they went under a contract, and then it fell out of contract for whatever reason. Perhaps it was the condition of the property, right? There were repairs that the buyer wanted, the seller wasn't willing to do it. Maybe the buyer just got cold feet, but it returned to the market. This month, we also saw 3,878 price decreases. So the initial list price of the property was not acceptable to the market. The seller didn't receive any acceptable offers, so they reduced the price. 586 properties expired. This means that their listing agreement ran out and it didn't sell. So all of these things are a lot different from the sold with multiple offers, the market's hot, sold in one day that you always hear, right? Almost 6,000 properties either fell out of contract, reduced their sales price, or simply didn't sell. So let's dig into what all of these numbers mean, right? We are seeing a divide in the market. And a friend of mine the other day said this: we are seeing a tale of two markets. So by the numbers, we are seeing homes sell here in Houston quickly and for more money than they did in previous years, and in many cases with multiple offers. Because of this, we are seeing buyers maybe put a pause on their search. We call this buyer fatigue. They're looking at so many houses and getting beat out by others, right? But in this tale of the other market, we're also seeing homes that come back on market that don't sell and price is being reduced, right? So there is a divide in the market. And properties don't sell for a few reasons. Those are condition, price, and marketing. All right, condition, price, and marketing. So first, condition. As a seller, this means that your property needs to be show ready. Buyers watch HD TV. They want something that's move-in ready. So if your agent tells you that you don't need to pressure wash, you don't need to get a new front doormat, you don't need to replace the brown carpet flooring or whatever it may be, you don't need to do any staging, and you don't need to touch up paint your 33 different paint colors throughout your house, they are either lazy or simply inexperienced. Simple as that. Doing maybe $1,000 or a few $1,000s of repairs and touch up prior to listing your home will lead to more buyer interest and higher offers, even in a seller's market. It could even drive the price up more than $1,000, right? So home preparation matters. As a buyer, this, however, could be an opportunity for you. Perhaps you can find a property that needs some cosmetic work, or you can see past some of the minor repairs or damage, the boxes strewn throughout the home, things like that. If it's been on the market for a little while, you probably have some opportunity there. So something to think about if you're a buyer. All right, second, price. Even in a seller's market, you have to price your home properly. Pricing it at market value will help your property appeal to the highest amount of buyers in the market. If you miss the mark on pricing and you take too long to adjust the price to market value, buyers are going to wonder what's wrong with your home since it's not selling in 30 days, or even if it's not selling in that 7 to 8 days, like most homes have been selling in the past 4 months. So while we have seen 15% price appreciation in Houston over the past year, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can just choose a number out of your back pocket, right? If your home does sit on the market, that will normally result in lowball offers and ultimately a lower sales price. As a buyer, consider maybe looking at homes that have been on the market or have recently reduced their price. It's not always condition that is why a home hasn't sold. Often, if you miss the mark on pricing when you first list the property and then you take too long to adjust it and that property sits on the market, that could be an opportunity for you to find a great property that is being overlooked by other buyers because they think that something is wrong with it since it's sat on the market. All right. Third, we're seeing more properties fall out of contract. So if you think about this, you get an offer of $25,000 over your list price and it looks great. Did your agent verify the lender? Did they even speak to the lender? Did they verify that the buyer is pre-approved? If it's cash, did they get proof of funds? These are all things that we verify when we are reviewing offers to ensure that we advise our clients to pick the best and most solid offer. It doesn't always come down to price. Often terms dictate the best offer. As a buyer, perhaps you should submit a backup offer on a listing, especially if it is your dream home. As we are seeing more contracts that terminate and fall out, this could be a great opportunity to put you in a great position to be the one that's next in line for that next home. So that's what I've got. Tale of two markets. There's definitely a lot going on in the real estate market. If you want to know what your home is worth, even if you're not thinking about selling, you just want to know what's going on in your neighborhood, shoot me a DM, give me a call. Always happy to help. If you're thinking about buying a home either between now and the end of the year or sometime next year, please feel free to reach out. Our team conducts consultations with people that are looking to move tomorrow or next year or the year after. It does not hurt to be a prepared buyer in this market, especially as things are rapidly changing and adjusting and stuff like that. So feel free to give me a call, shoot me a DM, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.